The Mannequins of Hollow Creek. It was a chilly autumn morning in 1976 when Raymond Carter drove down the old Hollow Creek Road. He was a traveling salesman, accustomed to long, lonely stretches of highway. That day, the fog was thick, swallowing the road ahead. As Raymond approached a sharp bend, something unusual caught his eye, a cluster of mannequins standing eerily still in a clearing by the roadside. He slowed his car to a crawl, unsure of what he was seeing. There were at least 20 of them, arranged in lifelike poses. Some looked as if they were mid-conversation, others appeared to be pointing into the trees, while a few were seated on logs. They were painted with astonishing detail, their glassy eyes almost too human, their skins scuffed and weathered by time. What struck Raymond most was their clothing. The mannequins were dressed in outdated attire from decades past. 1940s dresses, suits, and hats. They looked frozen in time, like a snapshot of an old village gathering. Curiosity got the better of him and Raymond pulled over. As he stepped out of his car, the air felt unnaturally still. No birds chirped, no rustling leaves, just silence. He approached the mannequins cautiously, noticing that their expressions were disturbingly varied. Some wore serene smiles, while others looked terrified, their mouths slightly agape. Then he saw it. One of the mannequins had a name tag pinned to its dress. Margaret Taylor, 1948 County Fair. Another mannequin, a man in a tattered suit, had a newspaper folded in his hand. The date on the paper read June 12, 1952. A chill ran down Raymond's spine. These weren't ordinary mannequins, they were too real. He leaned in closer, inspecting one of the figures. The hair wasn't synthetic, it looked human. The texture of the skin had fine pores, almost indistinguishable from his own. That's when he noticed something else. Their eyes weren't glass, they were real. He stumbled back, his heart racing. He was about to return to his car when he heard a faint sound like the creak of wood. One of the mannequins had moved, just a fraction, but enough for him to see it. Its head tilted ever so slightly in his direction. Panicking, Raymond sprinted back to his car, fumbling with the keys. As he started the engine, he glanced in the rearview mirror. The mannequins were no longer in the clearing. They were standing at the edge of the road, watching him. He didn't stop driving until he reached the next town. There, he told the sheriff about what he'd seen. The sheriff listened, his face pale. "You're not the first to see them," he muttered. "But you're lucky to have made it out. Most don't." Raymond never traveled that road again, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the mannequins were still out there, waiting for their next visitor. And some nights, in his dreams, he swore he could hear the faint rustle of fabric and the click of wooden joints creeping closer.